So Antifa claims they're not a network, but just a random group of people fighting fascism. Joining us now to discuss is the executive director of the Foundation for Freedom Online, Mr. Mike Benz. Good to have you back, Benz. Really, really good to have you back. The chat lights up every time you're on. They love hearing your ideas and your thoughts on some of these things. So Antifa, not an international network, because they say they don't have a headquarters, so therefore they're not a network. What do you know? Let's shed some light on this nonsense.
Well, this is ridiculous. Every Antifa branch has a .org website. I know I've said this many times, but it bears repeating. The Torch Antifa Network, the national global coordinator of the different Antifa cells, is a .org website. Rose City Antifa, the Portland Antifa community website, is a .org website. The Seattle Antifa cell has a .org website. I mean, Eric, what is org short for? Organization.
Organized crime, organized labor, organized everything bad that the country is trying to move away from. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yes. If someone breaks into my home, if I'm being sued by the SPLC or the ADL or something, this is not an idea. It's an organization that's coming after me. These are intensely organized cells that operate in what they refer to as a network of networks. Now, but the thing that I've been banging on about with Antifa is this is the exact way our covert operations are structured. Mm-hmm. During Operation Gladio in the 20th century, the right-wing anti-communist cells organized by the Central Intelligence Agency and NATO's political action arm used decentralized cluster cells in every country. And so each one, if one got busted, the others would remain. And it also, for legal reasons, is important to structure things this way. If folks remember, the Proud Boys, after they defended themselves from an Antifa attack in New York, I think this was in 2019, they were put on trial by the New York State Attorney General, who basically tried to argue they were an organized gang, and therefore you could hit them with RICO type charges, racketeering and the like. And Gavin McInnes at that point stepped down from leading the Proud Boys in order effectively for it to not be arguable in court that they had a top-down leadership structure, and so therefore they couldn't pursue these kind of RICO charges because it was not centrally controlled. There's lots of reasons to deliberately structure things this way. I should note, even CIA cutouts like the National Endowment for Democracy use what they refer to as a network of networks structure for their world movement for democracy.
I don't mean to interrupt, but just so they can shield themselves from any sort of RICO litigation?
Yes. This is a legal strategy. Literally, this happened with the Proud Boys like 6 years ago at this point. But before,
who's funding these guys? Okay, so you don't have an organization top down, but you're well organized. Where's the funding? I mean, we always say Soros. We pointed Soros. Was it Code Blue? Where's the funding coming from? Is it all domestic?
Oh, it's definitely not all domestic. The funding comes through places like the Tide Center, the Open Society Institute. There's this Bjorg Wyss, Swiss billionaire who pours money into these foundations that then pass through. I posted this before, but there's an Antifa blog that's very influential. It's called Crime Think. There's a great name, for if a right-wing group were to call themselves Crime Think. You know how fast the Merrick Garland Justice Department would subpoena every single communication and every IP address that ever logged onto that website? But there's an Antifa website called Crime Think. And when Trump announced that he was going to do this executive order on Antifa and declaring them a international terrorist organization, they were strategizing on Crime Think about how they thought the Trump admin would go about it. And they had different concerns for two different strategies. One was the bottom-up cell-by-cell method. But then they said, or Trump could go after us in a top-down fashion by targeting what they called massive liberal foundations. And these are these type of foundations that I was just describing, like the Tides Foundation, the Open Society Foundation, and the like, which fund many initiatives, not just Antifa, but Antifa is something they can turn on or turn off It's kind of like conflation.
Allow me just
commingled
to jump
funds.
in. And I'm just thinking about when we're talking about this. I'm trying to figure out how we've gone from a time where groups, organizations like this, when they were discovered, they were hauled up in front of Congress, and if Congress felt that they were undermining the integrity of the country, they'd be disbanded or more, or jailed, imprisoned, or sent away. How are we now in a situation where these people who are clearly destabilizing the country in our cities and in their methods, and we somehow are afraid to offend some groups and doing some, I mean, I'm not suggesting Joe McCarthy and everyone's a communist, but something in between the two.
My personal opinion on this, based on my time in the research in this and just a mapping of the network nodes that have organized the resistance against Trump at home for the past decade, is that part of the issue here is that Antifa is not just some separate, discrete bunch of scrappy drug dealers, meth heads, sexually confused people, and college professors, but it's tied into an international influence network that does very useful things, not just for major donors to the Democrat Party, but also for U.S. statecraft, intelligence, and paramilitary work overseas. And I'll run through a few examples.
For what, though? For what end? To what end? What is that? Destable, so that how did these folks benefit?
Well, we can go country by country. During the Obama administration, the largest CIA operation of all time, Operation Sycamore, which was from 2011 to early 2017, was the over $1 billion in CIA funding to effectively ISIS and Al-Qaeda groups that were called moderate rebels. At that time, a major Antifa cell was, according to Rolling Stone, the closest partner of the U.S. military on the ground. You can actually look up the Syrian Antifa platoons. They were working directly with the U.S. military, U.S. intelligence, and the U.S. statecraft apparatus in order to unseat Bashar al-Assad from the head of state of Syria. That was an operation that was eventually successful in December of 2024 during the lame duck period. I personally think that was done because they were concerned Trump would not unload all of the forces when he came to power in January. But the fact is Antifa was an addendum of U.S. intelligence and military in Syria. Look at what's happening in Germany. We blew up the Nord Stream pipeline. No one should fool themselves for one flat second about what happened there. It was a Ukrainian diving team. Poland just refused to extradite all the suspects in the case that Germany has been investigating, saying that if they blew it up, it wasn't a crime. The fact is, the Ukrainian diving team, according to the New York Times publications, the CIA had advance notice of this intent to do it. And according to that story, the CIA told them not to do it, but they did it anyway. No one believes that for a second. The CIA completely controlled Ukrainian intelligence. The New York Times reported that on day one after the Maidan coup in 2014, the first phone call the new Ukrainian intelligence made was to the local CIA station chief and to the local head of MI6.
Right.
The fact is we blew up that Nord Stream pipeline, and who has been going against the AfD party and the folks wanting to restore the Nord Stream pipeline in Germany? It's Antifa on the ground in Germany, doing exactly what the Biden-Obama State Department has wanted them to do, breaking up their meetings, doxing people, and doing anarcho-tyranny. It's the same thing in France to stop Marine Le Pen, the Trump ally there.
Do me a favor, Mike.
Spain.
Let's do this. Will you stay there? Can you stick around for another second? Because I really want to get into Antifa. There's something that's also kind of bubbling up right now, and I'm talking to a lot of folks, and they're talking trans-tifa. And we're trans-tifa, which would be the trans community's version of Antifa, and whether they're somehow involved in the assassination of Charlie Kirk. I want to get into that in the next break. Will you stick around?
Yes.
Cool. All right, we'll be right back. 2.5 minutes.